Let's do a lesson on the Smithsonian. Now, if I were to ask you how much you know about the Smithsonian, your answer would probably be what most of ours is. It's a giant museum that has museums within museums and they have a lot of artifacts. But to me, the Smithsonian would be equivalent to like a Disneyland. I'm a massive history buff and I always have been. And today we're going to talk about the dark history and the more unknown stories of the Smithsonian. So we'll start off with the storage for the Smithsonian, the archives. If you're thinking of the Smithsonian about the storage situation, you would probably think that it would be this massive building with huge tall shelves and everything kind of in disarray. And if you look up pictures of the Smithsonian storage, it's the complete opposite. It's very organized, which seems unrealistic for a place that has over 157 million artifacts. Here's the kicker: they have all of those artifacts, however, less than 2%, closer to 1%, are only ever on display. Most of them have never seen the light of day, probably will never see the light of day. And among those items, a lot of them happen to come up missing. In 2011, they did an audit on the Smithsonian and found that 10% of the artifacts was actually missing, most of which, or a lot of which, were Tier 4 artifacts, which meant they were worth over $1 million to multi-million-dollar objects. Of those items was George Washington's teeth. Now, they did end up finding, I believe it was his bottom teeth, but they have never found his top teeth. And this was not the first instance of the Smithsonian being alleged to mishandle these artifacts. Many, many artifacts have been said to go missing, be destroyed, some of which included ancient Chinese artwork, as well as giant skeletons. Now, allegedly, the Smithsonian received giant skeletons from a Native American organization, and back then it was kind of common practice to just destroy the skeletons. So, when they were asked to give the skeletons back, they simply said, "We don't have them," and we kind of never did. There was no proof they ever destroyed them. There was no real proof that they ever even had them. Now, if you interview a lot of Smithsonian employees and scientists, even, they will tell you that there is an area that is not on any of the digital maps, it's not on any of the original blueprints, it's not on anything, but it's called the Red Room. It's nicknamed the Red Room because of red lights that are outside of the doors. They kind of act as a warning. If these lights are blinking red, no one goes inside. Scientists, absolutely no one. Now, what's said to be in this room are artifacts that they kind of just don't know what to do with. It's alleged that it may be things that are radioactive from different wars, things that are possessed, things that are cursed, and you have to have very high clearance to get into this room. Now, normal employees are not allowed to go in, but they know that it does exist. The Smithsonian also partnered with a man doing UFO research and later just completely distanced themselves from the research as well as the researcher, but they still allegedly hold a lot of that UFO research and artifacts within the Smithsonian, but it'll never see the light of day. There are also allegedly a lot of artifacts pertaining to secret military excursions, things that were never on paper, uniforms that were never on paper, things that are meant to be hidden from the public and they just didn't know what to do with. They didn't want to keep it somewhere where it could be found, but they also thought it was too valuable to destroy. And the Smithsonian also, more recently, was accused of secretly moving artifacts out of the museums, more specifically the African American Museum. If you interview a lot of the prior employees, they will tell you that a lot of sketchy stuff happens within the Smithsonian and that it is believed that the government kind of partners with the Smithsonian to hang on to artifacts that they don't know what to do with and that they can't just destroy. So there's these hidden rooms upon rooms and warehouses and tunnels even where things are hidden that nobody knows are there and they're never supposed to know that they're there. And a lot of the employees will tell you that the warehouses in which these ancient artifacts and these really important historical things are stored kind of just looks like a big warehouse in disarray. Nothing is really organized. Things get lost, they get destroyed, they get stolen, and it doesn't really go on record unless something is audited or somebody knows that it happened. With 157 million artifacts, you would believe that a lot of these have unfortunate things that happen to them, especially if they're not on display or regularly monitored to make sure they're where they're supposed to be. But do you believe that it's possible that one of the biggest museums that holds the majority of our artifacts that we know would be behind these cover-ups, destroying human remains, may possibly selling artifacts to the wealthy, just complete mishandling the most important parts of our history.